Before we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, let's take a moment of silence to pray for all the current and newly elected leaders. We pray for understanding, patience, tolerance, freedom, and positive change, which will benefit all people. Now we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome to the Town Board meeting of November 7, 2024. For those of you who are visiting for the first time, I'd like to introduce the board and our town clerk. Present here tonight, we have Council Member Brandon Clory, then Council Member Sandra Priglioni. On my left is Deputy Supervisor Teresa Luongo, and directly to my right is Town Clerk Nicole Young. I'm Kate Luciani, Town Supervisor, and thank you everybody for attending the Town Board meeting tonight. Before we start with the public hearing, we will begin a meeting with a presentation which was developed by Clara Rivera, along with the data input provided from our budget officer, Lorelei Pitt, and senior account clerk, Eileen Sutherland, all whom are here present this evening. I'll give the floor over to this group, and please hold off on any comments or questions until the floor is open for public hearings.
Okay.
Hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good? Okay, good evening, Town of Woodbury Town Board, the residents of the Town of Woodbury, and guests this evening. We're here for the public hearing for the Town of Woodbury 2025 budget. It's going to be separated into 4 parts. I'm going to start with number 1, a brief explanation of the budget process. We're going to have a presentation of the Town of Woodbury 2025 budget and all the required schedules. I'm going to briefly tell you about the property tax cap law, and then there's going to be a PowerPoint presentation including examples of the anticipated increase in the 2025 property taxes. So we have 4 parts. I'm going to explain. Eileen has given me a narrative on the budget process and what we've been doing the last several months to create the 2025 Town of Woodbury budget. So it starts out with, how much do we believe that we need to maintain the level of services, for example, police, Earl Reservoir events, senior center activities, trips, various activities, crafts for the adults and children. And next we need to know, how much do we need to comply with union and employee contracts and to maintain the assets of the town, such as the reservoir, town buildings, equipment, routine maintenance, energy costs, fuel, communication systems, security systems, etc., etc. We then go to preparing a tentative budget. The department heads and all areas that are not the responsibility of the department head are developed by myself in conjunction with other assistants. And we have to look at all current and future data that are available for our use. Some of these items that we may go ahead and take a look at are going to be health insurance, workers' compensation, retirement, legal, engineering, debt service, etc., etc. We then go ahead and we look at the estimated revenue. That is also part of creating our tentative budget. We use actual historic information as well as our current knowledge and consideration of all future trends. Next, we have to think about, how are we going to pay for all of this? There are 3 components. We need a tax levy. We have to look at the other revenues that the town will receive, and we're going to look at the appropriated fund balance. After all these parts of the budget are completed at the tentative level, the board held public work sessions where the board discussed the budget to determine increases and any decreases to the tentative budget. All changes were approved by resolution, and the tentative budget is now identified as the preliminary budget. After 10 years of staying under the 2% tax cap, we've come to a place where we're going to be exceeding the tax cap. Costs have increased for products and services that the town has no control over. Some of my examples are going to be the health insurance, the retirement costs, the refuse collection, union contracts, workers' compensation, liability insurance, items that the town cannot or doesn't have the ability to control. So with that explanation of the budget process, I would like to go over and present this Town of Woodbury preliminary budget and all the schedules. I'll go and I'll call off each fund. I'll tell you what the tax levy is, I'll tell you what the expenditures are, and then I'll move to the next fund. I believe we're doing questions at the end of the meeting. All right. So I'm going to present the Town of Woodbury 2025 budget and all the required schedules. This has been available for many, many days now, but I'm gonna go over and tell you what's in this package. Yes, we have copies up here at the table. Help yourself. There's the budget. Just some slides. I'm not sure what that paper is. Alright, that's your agenda. We all set? The cover page is just the Town of Woodbury 2025 preliminary budget. For those of you who are following with me on a paper copy or maybe online, the next page that we have is the estimated local assistance from the state. This has been reported at $29,613. If we flip the page, this was also reported in the newspaper. This is the salaries of the elected officials for the 2025 budget. If you flip your page, I have a county form that's required to go up to Goshen Real Property, and this is a summary of the preliminary budget. It gives us our expenditures, our estimated revenues, our fund balance, our unexpended fund balance, and how much the tax levy is going to be, how much we need to be raised by taxes, which is one of the three components I mentioned earlier in our budget process, the three components that we need in order to prepare this budget. If you flip the page, we next have our appropriated fund balance. The total for all funds will be $1,624,038. Which brings me to the A fund. Everybody with me? The A fund. The A fund is gonna be about 8 or 9 pages. Okay. A fund, 9 pages. Starting on page 1 of the A fund, our tax levy, $4,142,076. If you flip to page 9 for our projected budget, welcome. Our expenses will be we're looking at the fourth column from the left, projected 2025 budget. Please help yourself. And that will be $6,495,043. The next fund we're going to look at is the police, or the B fund, starting on page 1. This B fund follows the A fund. Our tax levy, fourth column from the left, $5,851,165. If you turn to page 3, actually turn to page 4, the expenses for the projected budget for 2025, $8,469,240. Next, we will go to the library, which is the L fund. It follows the B. Page 1, tax levy, again, fourth column from the left. 663835 will be the tax levy for your library. And the expenses, which is on the next page, fourth column, lower portion of the page, total expenses, $899,223. The next fund is Woodbury Commons bid. Our tax levy is $525,000, and the expenses on the next page are the same, $525,000. Refuse. That's your next fund, which is SR, your tax levy, $1,073,916. If you turn your page to page 2, the total expenses, $1,110,116. The next funds are all debt service. We have a sewer, tax levy is $37,605, and the expenses is also $37,605. If you flip your page, we have another sewer, SSH. The tax levy is $2,180, and the expenses for this is $2,180. Again, these last funds are all debt service. Next one is water, with a tax levy of $1,995. The expenses are $5,995. And last is our water with a tax levy, another water, $8,720. The expenses, $8,720. The last pages of the budget is from the Monroe Fire District, and that's because a part of the town of Woodbury is in this district. So the town of Woodbury, representation for their portion of the taxes in the middle of the page that says Monroe Joint Fire is $65,405.40. There's about 12 of these pages, and then the last few pages on this budget are the exemption impact report, which is required to be submitted with the town of Woodbury budget. So that ends my explanation or my presentation of the 2025 preliminary budget, which takes us back to exceeding the property tax cap. This property tax cap law, which you may be familiar with, may not, was signed into law in June of 2011, and it applies to local governments such as the town of Woodbury, and this began in 2012. The town of Woodbury has been under the tax cap for all years prior to 2025. We have met all the rules set forth by this 2% tax cap up until this date and time. The tax cap law establishes a limit on the annual growth of property taxes levied by the local government to 2% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less. There are some exceptions to this calculation for the tax cap, and that is when there's unusually large increases in pension contribution rates. And we did see this happen this year when I did the tax cap earlier today. We did have an exception. I was allowed to add back about $17,000 for one of the retirement programs, which will let us have a larger limit, but we still are going to exceed the tax cap. There's an override mechanism to this tax cap. The tax levy cannot exceed the tax cap unless 60% of your governing body has approved an increase. For the 2025 year, the town of Woodbury has approved such an increase. We have a following slide presentation put together by Clara Rivera, thank you so much, that's gonna explain in further detail the factors surrounding this decision to exceed the property tax cap. Doing okay? Sorry, ladies.
If anyone needs to get up, please let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put the lights back on.
Thank you, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Clara, as Lorelei shared. And tonight we're gonna take you through some slides. Some of them we'll go through pretty quickly, because it's really more informational. We gave out small, can you hear me okay?
Oh,
Yes? Okay.
we just want to make sure. Well,
Yeah.
for the video.
Okay.
Do you think we should? Just put it on the chair next to you, just.
So, what I wanted to share is that some slides, we'll go through them quickly. Some will be a little more detailed, but there's a story to be shared with everyone here this evening. So, the objective of this public hearing is to offer clarity on the culmination of the 2025 budget. It's about providing transparency to all. It's about presenting facts, showing historical information coupled with budget statistics. So you'll have history and you'll have budgeted numbers. And then, like I mentioned earlier, it's about taking everyone here on this journey and all those who will follow by viewing the YouTube video. And this particular presentation will be placed on the website tomorrow morning as well. Now I'll pass it over to Lorelei.
This slide is an example of a home in the town of Woodbury, if it was to go for sale with a value of $424,000 market value. That's an estimate. We believe that when your property tax invoice comes out later at the end of the year or early January, on the left-hand side, based on the 2025 budget numbers, that there's going to be an increase of about $206 for the services for town, police, library, refuse, water, and sewer. Maybe some variations, everybody has different components in their property tax bill, but this is just giving you an idea of what you can expect to happen with the increase that we needed for the 2025 year.
Okay, so the next slide, and I'm going to get up for a second here, it talks about inflation rates. And the reason why I just wanted to share this is because this is a holistic picture. This is globally what's been happening, and these numbers here state in the US what have been the inflation rates over time. It's historical, we only have 2023, we don't have 2024 data yet. But you can see in 23, 4.12% inflation rate. 2022, 8%, 2021, 4.7%. So top line, top level, you get 25,000 feet on an airplane. That has been the global picture that we've been experiencing holistically. The next slide shows CPI, which is Consumer Price Index, more history. Now here, these indices, which is just a percent variance, but is shown as a decimal point, gives you month over month. Again, I'll put this information out on the website, but I want to zone in on 2024, because if you look at, well, let's go to 2022. I take that back. 12 month, 5% up, 5.1, 6.1, 6.3, 6.3, 6.7, all in the sixes. You go to 2023, 12 month variances, index, 6, another 6, 4, 6, 3, 7. We started to soften the blow a little bit as we get into the tail end of 2023, and we go into 2024, now we see increases at 3.1, 2 and change, 3.4, 3.8. And this is important because, and this is an actual fact, reality, the refuse contract in 23 and 24 jumped up over 300,000 from the years prior, right? At $1,019,700. Now, as we enter 2025 into 2026, the CPI index ranges at about 3.435. When you do an average of all the months, that 3.5 directly influenced the refuse contract going into 25 and 26 at an increase of 3.5%. So there's a domino effect. The impact of what's happening externally also impacts all the way down to a small little department known as refuse, which I also oversee, at a 3.5% increase. Very good.
This next slide is for the town of Woodbury, and we're hoping to explain or understand the town's expense performance over the past few years. The data was not compiled by us. It comes from the,
I don't know how to turn this.
I got it.
Oh, thank you.
the data on these next slides comes from the Office of the New York State Controller for Local Government. They have collated the data, and we have put it up on the slide to display for you. So this is the data from 2012 to 2022. It's reflecting a 2.1% increase over here. We have our pie chart over there for personal expenses, employee benefits, contractual items, equipment and capital, and debt service. And that is how you can see all the expenses are in that pie chart. It's important to note, in those 10 years, the expenses are 2.1%.
Personal services, well, 1.5, employee benefits up 2, contractual items slightly down, 0.1%, equipment and capital, town up 20%, debt services down 4.6.
And the debt services are down 4.6 at this point in time because there was some debt that was retired. And the equipment and capital had such a large increase because there were special projects and expenses for those
Correct.
projects.
Okay.
This next slide has 3 years of actual history. It's from 2021, 2022, and 2023. And what we're demonstrating on our slide, these are the actual expenses. We have that information available right now. And it goes from 21, you can see the increase to 2022, and the increase to 2023. We have an 18% here between 21 and 22. And then we have another increase, 7% this year to this year. So you can see that the amount of money needed for the expenses, most of which are out of our control, are steadily increasing.
So the next question is, what categories influence these increases? Which Lorelei gave a prelude earlier.
Okay, so to dig down deeper on that previous slide, we have 21, 22, and 23. I know there's a lot going on this slide, but we have the personal services, the medical insurance, our liability insurance, and our retirement costs. On the left side, we have it by fund. So we have the A fund, the general fund, the B is the police, L is library, and SR is refuse. So we have broken it down, personal services, and you can see the increase over all the years. So that's the A fund. Next would be your B fund. You can read it from left to right, but the I wanna bring out to you is that we tallied it for all of these funds, and here's our total. We go from the 5 million range to the 6 million range to 6,444,000, and here's our increase, our percentage of increase from year to year. Then you go down to medical services, the liability, and the retirement costs, and you can see the increases. If you don't wanna even look at the numbers, you can just see the percent of increase. Here on medical insurance, we have 9% to 16%. Here on liability insurance, we go from 11 to 14%. We had, so the retirement costs this year, either the, rate of interest or the dividends, we did reasonably good in this year, but then went back up again. That's for, us to fund the retirement.
And these categories here that are shown represent 43% of the overall increase holistically across all the entire budget or actual performance here. The next slides will be on budgeted numbers that are forthcoming.
Right, so the 21, 22, 23, we had the actual, results, but for 2024, that year has not, we're not completed with that, so we can't give you that information. In 2025, we're still on a preliminary budget. So what we're doing on this slide is we're telling you the information from the budgeted expenses.
And here it shows 25, go ahead,
No, go ahead.
the preliminary budget is 6% above where 2024 adopted budget landed.
And that's for these 4 funds. We didn't take every single fund, it would be way too complicated, these screens. So we took our larger funds, the A fund, B, L, and SR. So you can see again, 2024 budget to 2025 budget, we have an increase. Thank you. Okay, the same thing on this slide as the detailed one I went over before, only this is with the budgeted numbers. And there's the budgeted numbers from 24, again, because we haven't finished 2024 yet, and the preliminary budget for 2025. Again, it's by personal services, A, B, L, S, R. We have medical, liability, and retirement. We're just keeping the same categories so you have a comparison. But from 2024 to 2025 under personal services, we have about an 8% increase. Medical insurance, 13% increase. Liability insurance, 8% increase. And down here, retirement, 25%.
In the 4 categories, when you sum everything up, their increases from a preliminary budget over the adopted budget equates to 1.2 million. Holistically, the town budget is only up $1 million. So these categories are over, and there's other ones underneath that we're not discussing that are coming in under to cause this variance like this.
Sorry, I can't see the left side of the screen from over there. Go ahead. All right, so this slide depicts, it's a pictorial of what we've been talking about. The expenses you can actually see. Some people can see the numbers better, some people see the chart better. So we wanted to give a representation in 2 different formats for your viewing. So in 2021, our actual, which we did a slide on the actual 21, 22, 23, and then we presented the budget for 24, 25. Combined, this you'll see, right here, you'll see our increase. This red line represents the actual side and the budgeted side. So since 2021, we've gone from 11,000,007 over here, and in a few short years on the 2025 budget, these are these are the expenses we're anticipating. 16,973,622. All right, the next slide, we're moving into revenue. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the understanding the revenue performance for the town of Woodbury. we have a similar slide. This information has been gathered from the Office of the New York State Controller, local government, and it's for the 10-year period from 2012 to 2022. And it just shows that our revenues are not increasing, our revenues are not keeping pace with the amount we need for the expenses for the town of Woodbury. And that's this graph right here, right here. Kind of staying flat, everybody. So, the town's revenue growth blended over 10 years, 0.1%. The real property taxes were down 5%. Sales and use tax down 3.3%. The charges for services, 0.8, and other local revenues, slight increase, 3.8.
State aid is up slightly, 7.6%, and that's because of the grants that we've received. We had during this time period a key grant that was received for the courthouse, which was over $300,000, and that's influencing that number. Federal aid has come down by 4.5 over these 10 collective years.
Okay, taking a deep dive.
Yes, put in a little funny graphic just to show that we took some further deep dives in understanding 5 years of historical performance. And this assessment was completed for the A fund, the general fund, the B fund, and the L fund. Refuse, there is nothing there really. It's just all goes out, whatever comes in goes out to pay for the contract and personal services. So here and this is information that was provided by Eileen, so I do want to mention Eileen because Eileen was pivotal in giving us information, stats, information here. This is for the A fund, all the revenues for 5 years of history.
Over here.
You see,
Read.
it's, 2019, 4.8 million and change. 2020, which we all know was COVID, dropped down to 4.4. So if you look at the graph, you had a negative 10, 2020 over 2019, and that's because everything was closed down, so we lost revenue there. When you go into 2021, then we took a big peak. It jumped up 21%, increased 21 over 2020, and that, thank you, 5.6 million over 4.4, and that there was also, that's when the grant money was coming in, and it also helped us increase at a greater rate. We go to 2022 over 2021, and now we have another drop off, is a negative 3, versus then 23 over 22 is up slightly. So I think the key here, and I'm gonna stand up again for a second, you have to look at the trend line that I threw in the graph, because it shows it's flat, there's slight growth, but when you see all these peaks and valleys, that tells you like a crazy story. What's the reality? Reality is very neutral. And that's why you have a trend line there. Trend line brings you down to reality to help understand what's really happening and takes out the extremes, all those extreme variances. So that is the A fund. We go to the B fund, similar storyline.
Sorry, Clara.
I'm sorry.
Whoever's clicking, could you please stop? Very distracting.
Oh,
Thank you.
I guess I didn't even hear it. So, that's number percentage. So the B fund, similar story. A decline for COVID, right? Big jump. They work on a lot of grants. The police department is tremendous, all the grants that come through. Then it takes still a positive 5%, and then up 2%. Historical. Key here is you want to neutralize the big peaks and valleys. You want to neutralize these two numbers right here. And that's why there's a trend line, shows you it's a better trend line, because if you go back to the A fund, it was a little more, it was shorter, right? This one it's a little steeper, so it's positive traction there. And then we go into the L fund, which is a little funky, okay, I'll put it that way. But here I have to give, thank you. 2019 is 761, 2020 it drops down, but then you see it going up. Here what we can say is the revenue that's being driven here is a good investment that's being done with New York class, and Eileen is monitoring that. So kudos to Eileen, to help out the L fund here.
So we have a question, and it seems to always go back to the tax cap. And how did previous town boards stay under our 2% tax cap? You've heard me refer to this 2% tax cap on several occasions now this evening. We seem to keep going back to that. So how did we stay under when the inflation was up, the CPI has increased, we have higher medical costs, higher insurance rates, employee contracts that are up, and this coming year with a 4% increase? And the answer is, one of the answers is that we appropriated fund balance, which was one of the components on how, when I was speaking with you earlier, is one of the components on how we were going to pay for the expenses of the town. That was one of the three components. We needed a tax levy, appropriated fund balance, and we needed other revenues. Okay. Wanna go to the appropriation?
Yep.
Okay, so this slide shows you our appropriated fund balance for the last 5 years, starting over here on the left, 2019, and going all the way over to our preliminary 2025 budget. And this is, it's color coded by the A, B, L, and SR funds, which those are the four that we selected to use for your examples this evening. So just by slide, you can see various years, what we used or made the decision to use and appropriate fund balance to pay for the expenses of the town.
So the next 3 slides, we'll go through them quickly because all it is taking the dollar value of how much was appropriated by fund to show another graph. I tend to gravitate towards graphs because it gives you a very distinct, clear story.
So before we had like little skyscrapers, right? They were
Mhm.
red, blue, green, whatever, orange. Here, on these, on this slide, we're giving you the actual amounts of money that were used to appropriate, that we used on the A fund to appropriate fund balance, and that's how we got your little skyscrapers in the previous example. So this is giving you the actual dollars amount that we appropriated for the A fund. The next one will be the B fund. And then lastly will be the library.
And then that's
Oh, we have refuse.
We do.
I apologize.
It's a little bit, but you know, it's, okay.
Okay, so now, in summary, I just wanted to go back to the beginning where we started out giving you the example of what a house with a market value, if you were to sell this house, so in my example, you were to sell a house with for $424,000, this is what you can expect the budget amount for the 2025 town taxes. And this is a house that has the services, town, police, library, and refuse. Everybody in the town doesn't have water, everybody in the town doesn't have sewer, everybody has different components to their invoice, to their property tax bill. But this example is town, police, library, refuse. That is somebody with no water or sewer services. Our next example is gonna be about, again, $206. We don't have all the components, but for these components, we're going to use the example, same example. A house, if we were to sell it for $424,000, and this one has R&W as our code, that you'll be a house that has refuse, and now this house also has water services. So it's town, police, library, refuse, and water, and that's what your increase is gonna be, about $206. And our last house on our example, same thing, $424,000 if we were going to sell it. And this house in the town of Woodbury has all services, town, police, library, refuse, water, and sewer. About $206,000 also. 206. Oh, sorry. 206. I am sorry. I am so sorry. Thank you.
That's on an
Thank you.
annualized basis, the
Annualized.
$206.
So if it goes down to the day, it's
Which
57
we're gonna
cents?
take you through that now.
Okay.
Yeah. So. We have managed expenses from the tentative budget, which Lorelei spoke to earlier, a whole process of what is involved and what's entailed. And some of you were present at the meetings where we were back and forth, should we do this or not, or someone goes up a certain grade or not, et cetera. Those are the types of conversations that influence the overall result. Do not wanna take away any services at all. You know, could we bring down the budget numbers? Yeah, we would have to take away services. Priority here was to maintain the level of service currently in existence, to get your bulk pickups every week if you feel the need, et cetera, things like that. Just one simple example. The average home tax increase is 11.3% based on the 3 examples that Lorelei shared. If you break that down, we have $206 we're talking about on an annualized basis. So one of the things that we did, we took it down further. What does this equate to on a monthly basis? So you take the 206 divided by 12, it brings us down to $17.17 at the month level, which is ordering a pizza pie from Jay's Deli, potentially. If you don't get toppings. And then, and then a daily increase of 57 cents, if you look at it from a day perspective. So we wanted to bring it down to the lowest level possible to help share, the resultant of this 2025 budget. And this back over to
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's mine.
This is yours, what's mine?
Throw it on the table, take it away.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Just give me that.
I thought you had yours, I'm sorry.
All right, thank you again, Lorelei and Eden Clara, so much for your presentation, I really appreciate it. Now we're going to proceed with the logistics of the public hearing for the 2025 preliminary budget. Nicole, can you please read the public hearing notice?
A public hearing is being held to entertain comments for the town of Woodbury's fiscal year 2025 preliminary budget. The public notice was printed in the Times Herald Record on October 31st, 2024.
Thank you, Nicole. Does the public have any comments regarding the preliminary 2025 budget? I'm gonna ask that if anybody has a comment, that we go row by row. We're gonna do 5 minutes each person. Once every row is done, then if somebody has another comment that they need to make, they can get up again for the 5 minutes. We wanna make sure everybody has some time to talk. So we'll go row by row. Does anybody in the first row have anything? Anybody in the second row?
About the budget or just?
Yeah. About the budget. This is for the hearing. All right.
Just we got from here or what?
You would go to the podium.
I don't think it's gonna be a big, on the budget.
Yeah, it's on the hearing.
And sign in please.
Watch your step.
Yes, be careful, please.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for the presentation.
Turn the mic on.
There you go.
Yep, there you go.
Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation. But I have to admit, it is a vast amount of knowledge. And it's great, just, have it and break it down. And the summary was good and but my overall understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, overall, and you gave us a historical perspective which was good. When I went on the site, you have from 2010, you had from 2010 to 20, is that the time that the whole town establishment started, and that's how the
So
budget was
that's actual information. It purely covered actual information on expenditures and revenue from 2012 to 2022, 10 years of history. It's data that gets pulled from annual reports that the town submits to the state, and that's pure information.
So, as I said, as someone who has no idea, with math or accounting or the numbers, for me, if I want to know, basically, it is the revenue, it is the expenses, and what is left for, pursue whatever the goals and the vision of the town is. My understanding is not that much of a money and is increasing left for the improvement of services. Am I right? Am I correct?
I don't want to.
Pardon?
She wants to know.
Bottom line, I want to learn, these are lots of information, but overall, the overall performance, the way budget is, is being done, and the way it's performing since, for the last, overall we have the revenues, we have the expenses, and once you, minus it in a simple term, is what you have to work with it. Am I correct?
She's asking about the calculation, Lorelei. Of
For
how?
2025,
Overall performances. Basically, all these numbers and all the revenues that comes, and basically with the time, the tax levy is the tax that comes in. Those are the big numbers that are coming.
so the tax levy is what is used in addition to the appropriated fund balance and other revenues. Those three categories are what are used to pay the expenditures, the expenses that the town needs in any given year.
Mhm.
Did that answer the question?
Yeah, those are when I look at it, so there are, some expenses that are very high, but your revenue mainly comes from the tax levy, and when you say appropriate, is that the grants, and the main sources of revenue for the town is the taxes that you receive?
The tax levy is the largest out of the three categories that I just mentioned. That would be the largest amount. But we do have other revenue sources.
Okay, so we have the revenue and then we have the expenses. My question is, whatever is left, once you pay all your expenses, basic math, you are left with this amount of money that you can pursue whatever the town goal or the vision is for the community and for the environment, for where we live at.
And it goes back to the fund balance.
So the question is, my understanding based on these 10 years performances is not that much left for the town to work with.
Right, that's correct.
100%.
That's why we're exceeding the cap,
Mhm.
because we have to look at future years, the town of Woodbury will not cease to exist in 2025, we have to 26, you have to think about the future, and fund balance is dwindling, trying to stay under the 2% cap for 10 years, so unfortunately.
So it's a struggle.
Right, and
It's a
estimated revenues are just that, estimated, the only real numbers are appropriated fund balance and tax levy.
Mm-hmm.
We get sales tax, we get mortgage tax, we get grants, we get fines and forfeited bail from the courts. We base historically coming up with what we're gonna use. And the last number you developed really is the tax levy.
Correct.
We analyze what can we use for fund balance to offset the expenses of the upcoming year.
Mm-hmm.
What other revenues, aside from your tax bill that you're gonna receive, do we anticipate and hope to get? And the bottom line after that is the last number is the tax levy.
and is there any, usually there is a 5 years, ahead, the forecast for 5 years ahead, is that, is it done? or
Spending plan, you mean?
Something,
Capital
let's say,
expenditures?
anticipating, how to increase the revenue, how to bring, that hasn't been done, so.
Most revenues we have no control over,
Nice.
other than police going for grants that we, hopefully we get approved. Sales tax we can't control, mortgage tax we can't control.
I mean, the same thing is with the investments, I mean, we won't know what the rate of interest is going to be on any money invested. It might be this percentage this year, but can't forecast it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years out.
So my next question, I don't know if it,
I'm sorry, time is up.
Oh, so I just.
I'm the timekeeper.
I forgot about the 5 minutes.
Yeah, after everybody shares, if you have something else you have to come up for, you can come up, but we wanna give everybody the opportunity. Thank you so much.
It was a very good question.
Anybody in the next row? Back row?
Jimmy Ingham Mills. One thing real quick. Okay. You sure you got smelling anything? Okay, one thing real quick. When you guys did revenue, you said real property taxes went down with 4-something%. And for me, it was like, it's a shocking number because with all the development and everything else going up in this area, how do real estate taxes go down? Or am
Are you referring to the screens?
yeah.
I believe it was 0.5%.
Yeah.
And that was information compiled by the State Controller's Office from the annual reports that are submitted, obviously annually, from I believe 2012 to 2022. And they took the average, and it was less than 1%, half of 1%. Average over 10 years.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm saying with all the construction going on, how does it go down? I'm expecting it to skyrocket as far as tax revenue.
When you say construction, I don't know what.
All the developments, all the new homes, I'm expecting it to go up.
Oh,
So,
greater draw on our.
Just for argument's sake, if homes are now not paying taxes, that's affecting the revenue. If for religious reasons, the home is not paying taxes,
Correct,
that's affecting the
yes,
revenue. Correct? Okay, thank you. Again, ladies, the presentation was phenomenal. It really showed me a lot. I attended 2 work sessions. Brandon, Sandy, you guys went above and beyond trying to save money. It was uncomfortable because not just cutting, but you were cutting funds from people. It was salary, whatever else. So most of these increases are that 4% medical, pensions, and everything else. There's nothing you do about it. And for the workers of the town, I don't have a problem with it because the workers are incredible. My issue was with it seems like the library. Number one is when we did the budget, there was 0 fund balance. Now I see it's like 177,000. What happened? How did that money show up?
So, I am given, right, so I cannot place a number on the library's appropriated fund balance for the tentative budget, so you are correct, it did display
Okay.
0. From the tentative budget to the presentation of the preliminary budget, we received information from the library that would be what they would be appropriating for fund balance. I'm not permitted to do anything.
Okay, but the policy, it's not a 0 balance because
Yeah.
what we were being told was, hey, there is nothing coming back. What is given in the story. And that just sounded crazy because everyone else was going in. It was that Christmas wish list. When they came in and asked for basically over 900,000 initially, and it didn't make sense. And their whole explanation was, I forgot what year you guys cut them down. You brought them down 20, 21, 20 something, you brought them down.
Way back.
They came back and said, hey, if we never got cut down, we restored this number, and each subsequent increase, we would be at this number, and that's the number they would ask for. And there was discussions outside at that meeting, like, to me, it was crazy that they asked. But what somebody pointed out to me was, Kate, when you got that raise, you restored from that 35 grand to that 57 whatever, and they said, yeah, same example. They restored it, and subsequent raises, and that's what the library was doing. So you set the precedent there, and that's the problem. Because they're coming in, hey, forget about the reduction, because everyone that got reduced during the recession didn't get, okay, from this point on. It's from this point on, not like if I never got the reduction. So when the library comes in and asks for that number as if the reduction didn't increase, it's insane, because are they gonna do the same thing next year? Asking it from that imaginary line?
Yeah, we can't speak. for
Yeah,
what
we
we're gonna
can't
do.
predict the future
Okay.
on that, Jimmy.
But that's where for me it was pointed out to me when the salary was restored, instead of taking the restored number, you restored the subsequent salary raises, and that's where the library went with this. And it didn't work. It didn't make sense to someone sitting there watching it go on and asking for these numbers, because I saw everyone else being cut back. You were really cutting back on, did you really need that salary? Here's 2% here instead of 4%. And it was painful to watch.
But our main thing, Jimmy, and we did this with a lot of with the union contracts, because most of the employees in the town, most of them are union employees,
Yeah.
okay? We have a phenomenal workforce here
Without a doubt.
in Woodbury, and they're worth every penny, if not more. Wish we could do more, but, we don't have a magic pot at the end of the rainbow here.
Yeah, no.
So, we had the contracts, and we were happy to sign those contracts. Again, as stated in Lorelei and Clara's presentation, there are health costs that have gone up, we have no control over. There's pensions that go up that we have no control over. And rather than continue to dip into the fund balance, which is basically like a savings account, for those that don't know, it's a savings account, okay? That thing would be gone in 4 years if we kept doing this. We're trying to avoid that, okay? So it's time to take a real hard look and not worry about re-elections, not worry about popular opinions, and to really sit here and fund Woodbury and all the great things that it has. We have our own private action park in the summer. It's not open to other residents, it's our private communities, parks, okay? We continue the services, whether it be Taekwondo on the beach in the morning, or all the stuff that the parks does and the library does, we continue those services. That was the number one priority for this town board, was to continue those services. As a taxpayer, myself, because, by the way, we're not exempt, just because we sit up here, I'm okay with $200 to have the best police force in Orange County, to have the best buildings and grounds department in Orange County, to have the best supervisor staff to be able to come up here and do this, and the work that was put in. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, you don't have to defend the increase. I understand. As far as for me, when it was for the personnel, I'm not gonna complain, because I know these guys, I know these men, I know these women.
Mhm.
I see what they do, and wow, this was incredible. You guys have full understanding, comprehension, and you were able to relay the information, and I thank you guys for that.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Is anybody else?
Did you have any reason? Okay. I signed in.
And what Jimmy was talking about, the library budget, I have to commend this board for what you did with that budget and standing your ground. You went up to 3% with the increase, which forced the Board of Library Directors, their trustees, to do the right thing. They took $177,000 out of their little over $600,000, which is our taxpayer dollars, all of us. I want to commend you all for doing that. I appreciate it. Am I happy with the 3%? You were very generous with that. It only mattered a couple extra dollars. But a lot of people don't realize this appropriation, fund balance, whatever they wanna call it, they have money in there. When I looked last, for the months of, half a month of October, November, December, they still had just maybe $400,000 to spend on their expenses. I know darn well that those expenses for the library, unless they do something really drastic, they're still gonna have at least maybe $200,000 left over that's gonna go back into their savings account. So I truly appreciate, I know I'm throwing numbers out there, they're all averages, I'm just going off the top of my head. So even though they took $177,000 out of their money, they're still gonna wind up with money left over that we can't touch, and that's what the public needs to realize. So, once again, thank you for taking the hard stand on that one.
Thank you, Maria.
You're done, or you want me to trip?
Does anybody else have anything? Any comments? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Nicole, do you have any written comments?
No.
Can I get a motion and a second to close the public hearing for the 2025 preliminary budget?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Well, okay, now we'll move on to
You got some batteries, please, Jeff?
Okay, whereas the town clerk duly presented a tentative budget to the town board on September 27, 2024, and whereas the town board held a series of public work sessions where it examined the budget and made adjustments to the tentative budget, and whereas the town board adopted the changes to the tentative budget made during those work sessions as the preliminary budget at the town board meeting on October 17, 2024. And whereas a copy of the adopted preliminary budget is attached to this resolution as Exhibit A, and whereas a public hearing on the preliminary budget pursuant to Section 108 of Town Law was held on today, November 7, 2024, at which the town board heard from members of the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Woodbury that the preliminary budget is hereby adopted as the final budget for the town of Woodbury for 2025 fiscal year pursuant to Section 109, subsection 2 of town law.
Thank you, Nicole. Can I get a motion and a second to adopt the resolution as read?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Nicole, can I have a roll call?
Councilmember Calori,
Aye.
Councilmember Capri Leoni,
Aye.
Councilmember Luongo,
Aye.
Supervisor Luciani.
Aye. Sorry, Teresa. Alright, now we will open the floor to public comment for any comments that we may have regarding agenda items only. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the agenda items? Okay, we'll move on to administrative business. First, can we have the acceptance of the minutes? Can I have a motion and a second to accept the receipt of the minutes of the town board meeting held on October 17, 2020? I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Next, approval of abstract. Nicole, can you please read abstract number 21 for this meeting?
Abstract 21 containing vouchers 241809 through 241935, totaling $761,577.67.
Thank you, Nicole. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the abstract award as
Make the motion.
I'll second.
read? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Budget modifications. Nicole, can you please read budget modifications to the 2024 budget prepared for this meeting?
Yes, we have a few, so bear with me here. The town clerk, we are increasing A 1410.411 office supplies by 500, and decreasing A1410.430 transportation and travel by 500. Buildings and grounds is increasing A1620.405 custodial supplies by 1,500, A1620.412 electrical work by 1,000, and decreasing A7410.436 JP Burke, John Pool Water by 2,500. They are increasing A1620.449 alarms and maintenance by $90 and decreasing A1620.462 repairs and material by $90. Supervisor's office is increasing A1220.405 CPA by 3,500, A0599 appropriated fund balance by 3,500, increasing A1220.412 service contracts by 200, and decreasing A1220.200 equipment by 200. Animal control is increasing A3510.431 vet fees and medication by 1,500, A3510.405 dog and cat non-food by 500, A3510.406 cleaning supplies by 250, A3150, 469 food supplies by 500, A3510.411 office supplies by 200, decreasing A3510.453 vehicle gas repairs by 100, A3510.200 animal control equipment by $250, and A3510.480 vaccinations by $1,700. Refuse is increasing SRO 9060.801 HRA MVP by 1,735 and decreasing SRO 599 the appropriated fund balance by $1,735. The police are increasing B 3120.430 transportation and travel by 100 and decreasing B 1910.400 unallocated insurance by 100, increasing B 3120.419 recorder system rental by $2,334.43 and decreasing B 9061.800 dental insurance retiree by $2,334.43.
Thank you, Nicole. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the modifications to the 2024 budget as read and explained?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passed.
Kate, before we go on, and at the risk of looking stupid, I know we made a motion and a second to close the public hearing, but I don't think we voted on it.
Because I think we had to read the resolution, that's when we had to do a roll call.
But we had to vote to close the public hearing,
We did, I think I made the motion.
and I seconded it, but I didn't think we voted.
Do you wanna go back to that?
Just to, I
Just
wanna
to
make sure
cover
that
it?
it's all covered, and again, at the risk of looking stupid,
Nicole, hold on,
but
Nicole, what do you got?
I mean, this was from Ed, so whatever you guys wanna do. So you wanna,
we made a motion and
Alright, so can I get a motion and a second to close the public hearing for the 2025 preliminary budget?
I make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's what I thought. Well, I know we did that when we moved on to the resolution where we had to do the roll call, so I wasn't sure if we had to do that. Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome.
No old business to discuss this week, so we'll move on to new business. Authorize the supervisor and town board to adopt the Arden House resolution. Nicole, can you please read the Arden House resolution?
whereas challenges having been filed by the property owner below challenging her property tax assessments on the town's assessment roll with respect to the following parcels. Property owner, research center on the natural conservation, the Arden House Road, which is tax ID 233-1-6, 7.1, and 7.23 for the years 2020 through 2024. Whereas the petitioner's court challenges are now pending in the Supreme Court, Orange County, and whereas the property owner's attorney has made a claim regarding the market value of the property, which indicates a significant reduction in the assessment on the property, and whereas it is anticipated that the court will issue a trial scheduling order in the near future, which would schedule the exchange of appraisals between the parties, And whereas the town has received a proposal from Adam Sterling of Sterling Appraisals at the cost of $4,750 for the preliminary appraisal. If needed, there is an additional cost of $2,750 to upgrade the preliminary appraisal to a trial ready appraisal of a fee of $150 per hour for non-appraisal related services, review of opposing appraisal, pretrial consultants, etc., and $1,000 per day for time in court expert testimony. Now therefore be it resolved as follows, that the appraisal and the related services are necessary in order to negotiate a settlement or defend the assessment in the tax proceedings pending on this property, and to be able to comply with the court's anticipated trial scheduling order, and that the town board finds that the proposal from Adam Sterling of Sterling Appraisals is a reasonable price for the work to be performed, and that the town board hereby approves the said expenditure and authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to complete the said expenditure.
Thank you, Nicole. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the Arden House resolution as read?
Make
I'll
a
make a
motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Nicole, can you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Fleury,
Aye.
Councilmember Caprigioni,
Aye.
Councilmember Longo,
Aye.
and Supervisor Luciani.
Aye. Thank you. Next is to authorize supervisor and the town board to adopt the Woodbury Gardens tax cert settlement. Nicole, can you please read the Woodbury Gardens resolution?
Whereas a challenge having been filed by the property owner below challenging real property tax assessments on the town assessment roll with respect to the following property: Woodbury Gardens Realty LLC, Charlotte Court, tax ID 229-1-8 for the years 2022 through 2024. Whereas the petitioner's court challenges are now pending in the Supreme Court of Orange County, and whereas the town and the property owner have reached a mutually agreeable resolution, now therefore be it resolved that the special counsel to the town is authorizing to execute a settlement on behalf of the town for assessments for no less than the following. For 2024, the assessment reduction will be $223,400.
Thank you, Nicole. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the Woodbury Gardens tax cert settlement resolution as read?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Any discussion? Nicole, can you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Fleury,
Aye.
Councilmember Caprigioni,
Aye.
Councilmember Luongo,
Aye.
and Supervisor Luciani.
Aye. Thank you. Next is to authorize the supervisor to sign the Sterling Appraisal Proposal Agreement. Can I have a motion and a second to authorize myself to sign the proposal submitted by Sterling Appraisal for the upcoming work to be performed and prepared for the property of Research Center of National Conservation Incorporated, known as tax map parcel number 233-1-3, 233-1-7.1, and 233-1-7.23.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Now we will open the floor up to public comment. Again, we'll ask that we go row by row. Everybody gets 5 minutes. If you have something else you have to say, you can come up again after everybody shares. We'll start with the first row. No? Second row?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Winchester, M-I-C-H-E-L-E, last name Winchester, W-I-N-C-H-E-S-T-E-R.
Thank you.
I've been a resident here for 18 and a half years. I work nights, and I was awakened, I called the clerk this afternoon. I was awakened at 12 noon. So my tour ends at 7:30 in the morning. And I'm coming from the city. So I was awakened at 12:05 p.m. by two gentlemen. Can I show you my ring? Can I? Permission? body is different from everyone. When you wake me up at 12 in the afternoon, that's like 12 o'clock at midnight. So now I have been up since 12 this afternoon, and I'm not able to go to sleep. So I forgot to tell you, while I woke up, I'm outside in my pajamas now. And my daughter had a half a day, so they already know the routine. You come in, you be quiet, I'm sleeping. Then she runs downstairs, said 2 gentlemen is at the door. And as y'all have seen, the 2 gentlemen. So my neighbor's walking his dog. My neighbor works from home. He said he heard the doorbell, but he was upstairs working. And to our understanding, the community understanding is that no one's not supposed to ring the doorbell if you do not have a for sale sign. I just need clarity on that.
I would ask Karen Newman. She's a realtor. Sorry.
That's all right. So, currently, I believe the, state is still under a state of emergency, and as such, there should be no door knocking, there should be no cold calling. Although people are doing it, I don't see where there's been any enforcement of it from the real estate profession's side. But first, from that point of view, there should be nobody knocking on your door. Secondly, the town has a, solicitation law where they would be required to have a permit in order to do that. So you could ask them if they have that permit. And the other thing that I can say is you also can apply for
No.
a no knock.
Yes,
On your door.
I called the town because now I'm up, and I called and I was told,
Did I answer your question?
yes, but to everyone in the community, because now I'm outside my pajamas and my neighbors walk in, we still have this understanding, the clarity, is that it's supposed to be a no knock. But you tell me that we have to fill out a form.
There's supposed to be a no knock, it's not being enforced. And maybe Chief Watson wants to speak about it a little bit more.
Because it's not only me, it's like at least, I would say about 100 of us work nights. Okay? And Chief, we're not fit for duty if we're being interrupted. If you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Okay. So sometimes we have to do 7-hour tours. So I'm thrown off, and some people have to call out sick because now I'm tired and I'm agitated about this. So there's a no knock, but I still have to fill out the paperwork. If that's the clarity of it, I would like the information so I can give it to my neighbors so we can all be in tune to one that we need to go online, we have to fill this out, and we have a no knock. My
And
other
it
grief,
goes, and it goes to the village clerk,
Yeah.
not me, the village clerk.
What, is it on the village side or is it on the town side? I thought it was on the village side.
It is, I think
Yeah.
it's on,
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that we could do on our constant contact, we put the information out that will go out to residents, and this way they know where they can register and, sign up for the no knock. And we also do we're doing a monthly newsletter, we were doing bi-monthly, now we're trying to do monthly. Maybe that's something we can include in that, so this way residents know how to sign up, so this way it won't happen and they can't knock at your door.
Yeah, we can get the information out. Do you have any other signage on your property?
I have no signage, absolutely nothing.
Okay.
I only have Christmas decorations. I love
Not to say that, I'm just, anything would help is what I'm trying to get at.
no, I don't have anything. On time crunch. The second, there's an increase on deed theft.
on the what, was it?
Deed theft?
Deed.
Deed theft?
Homeowners.
Oh, okay, homeowners.
Yes. Anyone could go to the town, in Goshen and fill out their information and they can take over your house.
That's terrifying.
So I would like to know if anyone in the council could bring that up, what we can do, what steps we can do so people will not be victim to this.
Okay, so that, you're talking about the county, they would go to the county building
I voted
to do the deed, yeah, that would be I believe a county,
We can speak to somebody from the county and find out what's going on. I mean, I would talk with the county clerk and, you know, maybe our county executive.
But can we do something here and let everyone know, like I said, as a community, this is what we need to do.
Something to add to the
Yep.
newsletter?
I wrote it down, I'm
Perfect.
sorry, I figured it out, time is up, sorry.
Um,
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, one other thing I was gonna quickly.
Yep.
Sure.
Y'all complaining about the areas being massed with garbage thrown all over in the highway. Is there any way that we could have the high school students, like a weekend, give them extra credit to clean up? Or even have the library give them extra credit, you volunteer, you get extra credit?
So there is a group, there's Climate Smart, that they've been doing a lot of cleanups with the highway department, and I know that they allow like volunteers to help out, so they
again,
do.
that's through the village,
What?
that's through the village, right,
Right,
Climate Smart.
You're talking about on 32.
Is it
Anywhere in the community,
Yeah.
because it's so much garbage is going into the trees, and we never had this before. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
As someone who worked nights for 10 years, I can understand it, trust me.
I was gonna say, Tom was residents here, does he have information on the detail?
Well, they also can always check with the assessor on their deed.
Anybody else? Yeah.
Saeed Muslim, by listening to the comments and the budget that we went through, and I did some research for the village budget. Although, and it's great to have this kind of workshops or sessions or whatever for us as the member of the community to know more. But my main, as I go through the budgets and for the village and for the town and the money that is there, and at the same time the situation that is not that much money left. The question, it goes to the source, and I want to make sure that I understand. When the village separated from the town, the authorities that they have through the zoning board and the planning board and the building department, those are the ones that give permit and allow people to come in and just, or the town. I mean, the town authority is not that much of the executive and legislative. The lawmaking and executing the law is with the village of the Woodbury. Am I correct?
Well, right, but the town has laws as well, we have codes and laws.
I know you do, and I saw the code book, but you have the law, but the executing the law, that authority, let's say people are coming to town, new people. It's the village who gives the permit and allow them
Planning
to come
and zoning.
in, planning,
And then the
zoning, and the
building.
building.
Yes.
So they are the one that they are, in charge. But with the town, the authority is not there. What am I trying to say is, whatever is happening in the town, and Jimmy had a question that, the revenues that comes in, mainly the village and through the different department is responsible for that. The town, am I clear? It seems it's puzzling.
I'm a little confused there.
I think
The
she's
village-
talking about the town with the revenue, with buildings, all the buildings that aren't coming up
Listen,
houses
what,
that aren't being built,
um,
I think this is just claiming, right?
yeah, my question is, as Jimmy said, we see many buildings are built, are built. People are coming, are spending, we are paying high taxes up here. Then the question is, this struggle that is happening, the source of it, how does it happen, and what needs to be done about it? And as a member of the community paying the high taxes, we are paying high taxes up here. And why the situation is such that everyone is struggling, because if that is the case, there would be no energy for coming up with with the ideas on how to expand. For example, with all due respect, for the library that is in Central Valley, right across from the team, that's an old building and mold is there for a long time, and allocating the budget, the revenue that we have and where to spend it, the decision makers. The question is why this situation is there, that the budget is at the level that no creativity and no potential for the growth is there, and maybe the issue needs to be, faced for the future, what to do about it. Because when you have the budget and you have the revenue, the way you allocate the budget, that's the most important thing. And how to allocate, what to do, what not to do. What I find out about, as I said, what the revenue, the budget in the village, and also the way it's allocated, there are questions in my mind. I mean, who makes the decision? I know the mayor is in charge over here, the board is in charge over there. Bottom line is, the money is there, people are coming, buildings are going up. So why the town, the employee in the town should struggle? And if the town doesn't have that authority to let the people come in, so the villages, and so I was going through the village minutes and going back, the vision that the village was created, sometimes it's good to go back, look at about the history. What do we need to do to just be, just work together, bring the growth to the community, and let the community grow. That's what I wonder, what happens, what's going on, and how long that can go on. Any
I'm
attempt?
not sure what the question is.
The question is the situation that we are in. We know there was an election last night. And it's
Yeah, do you wanna know how we budget for each department?
No, overall the cooperation and the collaboration between the village and the town
Mm-hmm.
about the money is here, people are coming. But how to allocate and where to cut the expenses, where to bring, is there that collaboration? My understanding so far, I don't see that much of a collaboration. But now election is done, whoever is elected, a Scoofis or someone else, they are our representatives, and maybe he has some point, maybe other people have some point. Maybe it's time for the community member get together, ask the question, be involved. What's going on in the community? What's going on in the town? If you guys are struggling and the village is that, maybe there should be some changes made. If that's what it came to mind. I don't know if I'm clear on what I'm trying to say, but that's what wonders me, where the issue is coming. Why we have all these development coming, all these people and paying high taxes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody in the next row? Back row, Kelly, you know you wanna do it. Jimmy?
I don't know what to say right now. I'm good.
Alright,
I have one question. Tom Cowell, Oakland Avenue, Central Valley. My concern is as the lady here was speaking about the trash on 32 and stuff, I understand that that's something that's under the town, or is that under the village?
On 32?
Yeah, garbage
Yeah,
pickup.
it's a state.
And, my concern also is when a house is turned from a private residence to a multifamily or a, what I call, because I was working in the city and they used to be called SROs, single room occupancy. All right, where a 4-bedroom house or a 1-family house is turned into 14 different bedrooms in them. Who, and you know, that adds to the garbage. Who's responsible?
That's the
And-
building department.
That's the what?
The building department.
I know for the thing, but who's responsible for the garbage? Because like over in Blooming Grove right now, they have an issue with they want secondary garbage pickups because of a certain group of people over there is putting out so much garbage. But here we have residences that are being turned into room, they're like motels, you know, I mean, basically that's what it's coming down to. And there's one down on 32 that looks like it's a chop shop. I'm going back to when I used to work in the Bronx, all right? And Chief, I was gonna talk to you about it, but maybe somebody could find out why they got cars turned over, auto parts stored back there, and garbage all over the street, 3 or 4 houses right there. It seems like it's a no man's land on the north side of the thruway, all right? And nobody seems, I go to the village says, oh, we can't do anything about it. I'm here now, you're just telling me we gotta go back to the village. And then I gotta think about why we have 2 boards, because it's nonsense. If I can't get an answer from somebody, you guys gotta learn to work together with each other, all right? You pay for by our taxes, all right? And, you know, then I get chased, then last week I have a car coming down 32 with red, white, and blue flashing lights in the grill. As a retired cop, I figure that's a cop. I move out of the way, I almost get hit, all right, because of this jerk in this minivan. Turns out to be he's the local owner of one of the, or he works for one of the tow companies in town. All right, and then when I question him about his driving ability, he says to mind my business, shut my mouth before he has me arrested. I welcomed him. I told him, call the cops, get me arrested. I have no problem, because I didn't do anything wrong. But when one of the officers shows up, and I asked him about it, I'm told he didn't witness it, he can't do anything. I know, you know, I'm not gonna give the guy up, but, because that, I never did, but I know that's a improper statement, all right? And these people are just out of control. And I'll tell you what, I'm not moving out of the way. If it doesn't say police on it, I'm not moving out of the way if it has red, white, and blue lights flashing in the dashboard. And I'm telling everybody I know the same thing, because there's no courtesy here. There is no courtesy from the locals, the local police, or the state police, or anybody else, all right? To investigate this crap. I got pictures of the car, the plastic over the license plate, so that you can't even read the numbers on the plate of the vehicle, all right? Just like it's a ghost vehicle, like it doesn't exist, all right? So somebody's gotta get together and start giving us answers, because the north side of Route 32 looks like crap. I pass that area 4 times a day, twice in the morning when I go up to my granddaughter's house, put her on the school bus, twice in the afternoon, and other times also. But that's garbage. That is garbage. And the whole attitude, the village don't want to take responsibility, the town don't want to take responsibility. Somebody's got to take responsibility for it. If not, close the doors. We don't need you. We don't need you. All right?
Tom, where
Wait,
is,
wait, Tom.
where,
Go ahead, Jamie.
where the garbage, the house that you were just talking about, where is that?
I don't know the number exactly, but it's a red roof when you come off of Trap Brook.
Mr.
It's a
Powell,
red roof building.
Mr. Powell, 2 things. 999 Route 32, we were there today with the building inspector, okay? That is being addressed. Everybody that lived there was told to vacate because they only have a work permit and they don't have a CO.
That's the
first-
old brick building, right?
That's
the one that caught fire 2 years ago?
Yes,
It's
yes.
the one next to it.
So you're talking about the one with the red roof with all the cars behind it?
Yes.
That's also being addressed. That was
Okay.
addressed with the building inspector and our detective today, as a matter of fact.
Okay,
The
thank
one
you.
that's next to it, where there is a lot of debris and garbage, was also addressed today, and we will continue to follow up, okay? Because nobody's supposed to be living in that house. Now, your other statement that you had said, you know how to get a hold of me, and if one of those officers specifically told you that, then I would have you contact me. You know how to contact, and I've never ever denied anytime you've ever called, so all you gotta do
I
is if you're
understand that.
unsatisfied with something that somebody does in the police
Listen,
department,
I understand
please
that.
call me.
I understand that.
And to your end, I will investigate that. If you do have pictures, I would love to talk to you at the end of the meeting and
Sure.
get that information from you. I
Because-
will not let that go.
Because what happened with that gentleman in that car, and he's threatened to lock me up.
I
I
got
wish
it.
he would.
I wish you had called myself. You
But
know how to
see,
get a hold
I
of me.
shouldn't have to reach out to you when I have an officer
Well, if you have an
on the
officer
scene.
tell you that, then you need to specifically contact the supervisor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Alright, we'll move on to department head, Joey.
I just got one thing. We're doing a lot of work up at the Buildings and Grounds. I just wanna thank the Highway Department, Rob Ryan and his guys, they're helping us tremendously. It's not done yet, but probably in another couple of weeks, everything will be taken care of. I just wanna give them a shout out, cause they are helping us tremendously. And in the long run, we're gonna save some money too, so that's all I got.
Thank you, Joey.
Thanks, Joey.
Clara Pearson.
Yeah, just wanna share something real quick. So,
My name is Clara Rivera. I am an account clerk in Supervisor Luciani's office. I'm sort of an administrative assistant for her. I take care of refuse, so I do wanna speak to Tom for a moment about your question or when a house converts to 14 rooms. That house designation, when it's set up in the data entry, if it's a one-family house, it falls under the refuse district 95% of the time. Two-family homes also fall under 95% of the time. There's certain pockets in the town that don't fall within the refuse district. If a house changes designation, that has to be changed through the proper channels. So if someone is doing something improperly and setting up 14 rooms, but is designated as a one-family house, it would be impossible for me to know that something like that is transpiring. With regards to any homes, 3-family and above, any buildings, etc., they do not fall within the refuse district. Only 1-family and 2-family homes, I just wanted to offer that clarification. The other thing I do want to say is that at the next town board meeting, I have been working with DPW at Goshen. I have a guest speaker coming in on November 21st to talk about the need for all of us to be more cognizant on how important it is to reuse and recycle. So there's a guest speaker coming in, and I'm trying to work on having also the district manager for county waste to share as well. So would love it, you spread the word and have others come to the meeting. Thank
You
you.
also invited Climate Smart too.
Yes. Correct, I invited Lisa from Climate Smart because she's doing a lot of initiatives.
Yep.
And
That's it.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Clara. Chief Watson.
I'm good. I have no more to say.
Eileen.
I would like to thank Lorelei. She's done our budget for over 20 years. She's professional, she's precise, she checks, rechecks to the point where she has me nuts.
I'm sorry.
Been a pleasure working with her. She is a CPA, I don't know if anybody knows that. And I just wanna thank you.
Thank you.
She's very easy to work with and it's all good.
my thanks goes to everybody, Eileen, Clara, everybody's just always there for me and always helpful and always takes my calls, helps me on a moment notice. I could not have compiled this budget without all of you, and Eileen is there for me 24/7. So I just wanna extend my thank yous.
Well, I'm in-house, I think it's a lot easier, you know, I feed information to her that comes to me, and like I said, we've worked together for, what, 20 years?
No, she's essential to putting the budget together.
You guys
Thank
were
you.
like the dream team for sure. Like, you know, my first budget, like doing it from the beginning to end, like, you know, was very scary, and working with the three of you was absolutely incredible. It was a wonderful journey. Lorelai, you're amazing. I mean, you know this in and out, and then her with everything, the slides, the details, you know, helping formulate it. I mean, honestly, you guys were like the dream team. You were amazing. I thank all of you for everything that you did, for coming tonight, the nights that you came for the budget sessions, for doing this whole, you know, example, the town talked, people came, they wanted, you know, more of an explanation, and you gave it to them. And that's for sure. So, I really appreciate all of your work and all your attention to the detail, and providing the community with that, and giving them an understanding of what, you know, we all went through, and how hard we tried, you know, to cut this down, and what it looks like, you know, as a town. Nobody wants to increase taxes, nobody wants to do anything like that, you know, but what Teresa and I had explained a long time ago, you know, it's about being fiscally responsible. What are we gonna do for the future years? What are we gonna do?
Well, I appreciate that you took the political element out of it and put the residents first and their quality of life being maintained, not, you know, keeping the police force that we have, the wonderful parks we have. I mean, we could have shut down the pool for the summer. Maybe we would have been under the 2% cap, but I mean, really?
Yeah.
You know, so I appreciate you guys and the disclosure, you want to be transparent, you want people to know what's going on, understand what's going on, so.
Very good, so, thank you.
Thank you. Alright, so now we'll move on to Councilmember Fleury.
Okay, as always, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Special Olympics Polar Plunge is 2 days away, it's finally upon us. This event has grown tremendously since last year, and I'd like to thank everyone who has sponsored, created, or joined the team, and those that donated to this wonderful cause. We are on pace to provide 90 athletes with a year's worth of events at no cost to them or their families. So on Saturday at 9 a.m., come on over to the res and cheer the teams on, grab a bite to eat, listen to the DJ Vernick on the ones and twos, and have a great time. The plunge starts at noon, and it's gonna be a community-oriented event. You know what I mean? So come on down and cheer everybody on. I'd like to thank Clara, Eileen, and Lorelai for their work on this budget, as well as the department heads and my fellow board members. Making the hard decisions while maintaining services is never easy. And overall, I think everyone did a great job. As a taxpayer, I'm content with how it worked out, and I know we as a board will continue to work for grants and funds and continue to add to the already $500,000 we've worked towards so far. Lastly, I'd like to congratulate the winners of the most recent election. We look forward to working with everybody. This town board is always open. We send people from this town board to different meetings, whether it be the village, the parks, the library. We have people there. And if we're not there, we're just a phone call away. So we are always open to working together with no matter who, regardless of party. It's a big life investment to run for office. You take time away from your family, you miss dinners, sports, events. Maybe you get trashed on social media by people. But in the end, whether you win or lose, I'd like to thank you for stepping up for your community. So to all the candidates, I tip my cap to you, and I thank you for your love of community. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Councilmember Criglione.
I'd like to thank I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. And I'd like to thank the 2073, well, I voted for myself, so 2072 people that actually came out and filled in that little circle. I was truly humbled by that number, and I really appreciate it. I hope that I can continue to do the things that, you know, make you realize that we are listening and that we are concerned about all of our residents. That said, I just wanted to remark on something that Mrs. Hunter said about the library. So as most of you know, we've been working on this memorandum of understanding, Teresa and I, with the library board and the director for almost a year now, well, close to it. And we were right at the cusp of getting it done, and unfortunately, our attorney has broken his leg, that's why he's not here tonight. And so we had to postpone that meeting. But we're looking forward to still getting it done, and when we do, and it's presented to the public, I hope that everyone will have a clear and concise understanding that the library is not a department of the town. It's actually, it kind of is almost like its own little municipality, if you will, in that it runs parallel with us, and the taxpayers fund it, but we don't have a say over what the library can do. The library is an entity unto itself, and as far as that goes, when they have money left over, they're not hoarding it and doing, you know, nefarious things with it. Where other departments, if they run out of money or they need to move money around, they come in for budget modifications. The library cannot do that. Once that budget is set, that's all they have to work with. They have to figure it out. Yes, sometimes they do have money left over, but for some reason, if they didn't, they cannot come back to us. They can't do a budget modification. That's not how the library works. Anyway, once the memorandum of understanding is completed, it will be presented to the public, and anybody that has further questions will certainly, again, be welcome to ask. But anyway, I just wanted to clear that up because it made it sound like, you know, there's shoving money away that nobody ever sees, and that's not true. The last thing I want to say is thank you to the Dream Team, Clara, Eileen, and Lorelei. I've been attending budget meetings for years, and I've been up there and I've asked questions, but I've never had the thorough understanding that you guys provided. And I'd like to think that I know a lot, but I knew nothing until, you know, this year. And you guys really explained. There were a lot of moving parts that I just never understood before. I didn't even realize. So again, thank you very much, and thank you for that great presentation. And that's it.
Now can we call you Councilmember-elect?
Yes, I'm actually
Is it
elected.
official now? We can say it. Deputy Supervisor Longo.
Okay. Brandon and Sandy said a lot of what I wanted to say, but
We're gonna change the order next time, just to let you know, Brandon, because you steal everybody's thunder.
Gotta set the tone.
I'm gonna do like one of those things, like I'll roll it around and be like, it's your turn. Throw you all off.
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Also, thanks to the Dream Team. This budget process, I was really scared going in. I had no idea how it was going to work out, but you guys made it so simple, and you answered all of my questions and explained everything, and that presentation was amazing, and I think a lot of residents are going to benefit from watching that. They weren't here to understand the situation we were in and how we tried to problem solve. Therefore, you know, taxes wouldn't go up tremendously. I'd like to say congrats to Sandy. You know, putting yourself out there is hard. Even if you're running unopposed, you just never know what could happen. Also, congrats to Vic and Sue from the village, and also Bruce Schoenberg. He ran unopposed, but you know, still gotta give him a little shout out. In terms of the IMA, I just wanted to state that you know, a couple of people had said at the village meeting that the IMA came up this year because there was an election in November, and I just wanted to explain that that's not the case. The IMA is expiring next month, so that's why we brought it up. We've been trying to address this since I came into office, so about January, February. And we want the services to continue and to run smoothly. So to say there's an election and that had anything to do with it, that's absurd and untrue. There's an election every year for the town and village, so you can't really say it's because of an election. We just want, to get everything done, for the village to come to the table, to work with us. We've tried very hard to get, some cooperation, and I'm still, I guess, hopeful that it may happen before it expires next month, and who knows what will happen. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Town Clerk Nicole Young.
I just want to recognize Kelly here. She has been a tremendous asset to the town clerk's office. She has caught on so well, and she's just been a huge asset. So thank you very much, Kelly.
Okay, and so I just want to remind everybody that Veterans Day is on Monday, 11/11. It's my son's birthday. So on 11/11 at 11 at the Cemetery at Highlands is the Veterans Memorial service. It's at if you go into the Cemetery at Highlands, you go to the back where the Veterans Monument is. And, through the years, I've seen it decline, and not a lot of people show up. The Boy Scouts come, the Girl Scouts come, things like that. Lisa's been amazing with the Wreaths Across America, and she's been putting the word out. So you see it slowly grow again. I was at the senior center on Monday doing ice cream, and Mr. Doyle came up to me and he was like, "I'll see you on Monday." And I was like, "Of course you will." It's really important, to remember our veterans and everything that they've given for this country. We just went through an election, and just like everybody said, there's a lot going on locally and through the whole country. And so I think it's really important to remember the actual people that fought for our country. And so take some time at 11 o'clock, go down there, see those veterans. They usually do donuts and coffee and hot chocolate after in the Cemetery of the Highlands. But it's just a great way to stand and respect everybody. Again, I want to thank the Dream Team. I named them that, so. No, I do, and Lorelai, I hope you still come around the office because it's been fun having you come in and just talking and going over everything. I cannot thank you enough. And Clara, that was absolutely incredible with the slides. Honestly, amazing. Like I said, in the meeting, somebody said, "Can you dumb it down for us, make us understand?" You did that. You excelled at that. So I want to thank you. And I also want to congratulate. I'm very excited for Sandy to be on the board. And now we can say elected without people claiming she wasn't. And just, I want to congratulate her, our trustees. I hope that, we can all work together because it's extremely important. When you're voted in by the community, for the community, to work for the community. And that is the purpose of you sitting in these seats. And just like Mr. Powell said, if you're not going to do it, don't do it. Get up, go, and that is our job, is to work for our community. So we all need to put our stuff aside and work and do what's best for that. So I want to congratulate everyone, and I just hope everybody has a safe night. And with that, can I get a motion and a second to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Have a good night, everyone.